Alright, Ronan MMA, welcome back to the channel. Now, I've woken up extra early for you guys before I head out of town for the next 4 days because Dana White announced some huge news, some massive fights, and I couldn't just not talk about them before I left. So, the one I want to focus on here is Jiri Prochazka versus Alex Pereira, okay, for the vacant light heavyweight championship of the world. This fight will take place at UFC 295, Madison Square Garden, co-main event for Jon Jones and Stipe Miocic. Unbelievable. I am super happy that they have made this official. Not overly surprised. We kind of knew that this was the fight that they were looking to book for the vacant title, right? Because Jamal Hill injures himself, makes it known he's going to be out for quite some time, makes it known that he will be relinquishing his title. A precedent that was kind of set by Jiri Prochazka, who I'm also glad is getting a title opportunity upon his return because he never lost it. And he relinquished it in an attempt not to hold up the division. Pardon me. Now, whether or not this was like pressure from the UFC, but on Jiri, on Jamal Hill, is neither here nor there because they could have still refused to relinquish their title. And if the UFC would have came out and publicly stripped two men who received catastrophic injuries, I don't think it would have gone over all that well. There's the Tony Ferguson incident. That was an interim title, so it's a little bit different. It's still super shady, but I don't think that they would have done that to two undisputed champions. I think that would have been a horrible look on the company. So they may have gone and asked them to do it, but they still both ultimately did it. Now, something that I want to talk about that I don't think gets talked about enough, and it's one half of this fight. So Alex Pereira, okay? There are some guys that get a ton of credit for being super active. I don't really hear people talking about Alex Pereira in that same fashion, but I think he deserves it. Dude's in his late 30s, okay? Guy entered the UFC November 2021. When he fights Jiri Prochazka in November 2023, he'll have been in the UFC for 2 years. He will have competed in 7 fights, 3 of them being title fights. This man does not sit around and wait for opportunities. He jumps on them. And I appreciate it, especially from a guy, as I said, he's no spring chicken. Like, this guy's in his late 30s. Do you know what I mean? He knows that he doesn't have the most time in the world to work. He's trying to get shit done, and I appreciate it. I also am happy that Jiri Prochazka is able to be at full health for this opportunity and that we get to see both guys at their best. The most amount of time that Alex Pereira has ever taken off in between fights was 5 months, and that was in between the 2 Adesanya fights, something that wasn't really up to him. We were kind of waiting for Israel Adesanya. He received a medical suspension after Alex Pereira finished him. I can't remember how long it was for, but he was essentially waiting for Adesanya for the rematch. So that 5-month period wasn't his decision. Do you know what I mean? Even after getting starched by Adesanya in the rematch, the dude returns 3 months later to fight Jan Blachowicz. Fucking terrifying, okay? Jan Blachowicz has knocked out many men, hits hard, dude's shins are made of fucking steel, and Alex Pereira comes out there 3 months after getting completely flatlined, not like a standing TKO, flatlined. I was on the edge of my seat, unbelievably nervous. Alex Pereira is one of my favorite fighters of all time, and I was just hoping that he was able to not get chinned, okay? And he didn't. So I think that he deserves more praise for his activity. As I said, 7 fights in 2 years, 3 title fights. Dude's a fucking menace, okay? Jumping on opportunities left and right. Now, I want to talk about the fight itself a little bit. I won't go too deeply into it because I've done a couple videos on it, and I'll do more closer to the fight, obviously, but I just want to briefly touch on it. So, as I've said in videos in the past, I think Alex Pereira is going to beat Jiri Prochazka. I'm not saying Jiri Prochazka sucks, and I'm not saying that he can't win, okay? So all you Jiri Prochazka fans that like to go into the comment sections and lose their mind, which I was unaware of. I didn't realize Jiri Prochazka had that kind of fan base, but he does, okay? I'm not saying that. I'm not saying he can't win. I'm not saying he sucks. I'm just saying I think Alex Pereira is a bad stylistic matchup for him. And I haven't said that against almost anybody Jiri Prochazka's fought. So it's not like I've been saying this every time and he keeps proving me wrong. This isn't like a Dricus du Plessis situation where nobody thinks he can beat Robert Whittaker. This is my personal opinion based on what I've seen from the two of them in the octagon and elsewhere, okay? I know Jiri Prochazka's fought a bunch of good guys. I know that he beat Vadim Nemkov, okay? Very cool. I get it, dude. However, in the UFC, I've seen him fight 3 men, Volkan Ozdemir, Dominic Reyes, and Glover Teixeira. He got outstruck by Volkan Ozdemir. Yes, he ultimately found the finish. Good for him, okay? He almost got outstruck by Dom Reyes, dude. Dom Reyes rocked him. in a couple of moments. These I'm just going over some of the reasons why I think Alex Pereira is going to beat him. Dom Reyes rocked him. Okay, Jiri Prochazka's taken more damage from Dom Reyes than anybody has since the John Jones fight. We've seen everybody flatline Dom Reyes, so am I supposed to give him fucking flowers for that? Do you know what I mean? Glover Teixeira is not primarily a striker. His bread and butter is his ground game. Jiri Prochazka was getting pieced up at moments on the feet by Glover Teixeira. I have a whole video breaking down their fight film, watching Glover Teixeira catch Jiri Prochazka on his wild entries, his crazy entries that everybody loves so much, okay? And Jiri Prochazka actually visibly getting frustrated and not being able to hit Teixeira, not being able to reach Teixeira with his weird, crazy entries that for him, up until this point, have usually worked, okay? Yes, he ended up finishing that fight. I get it, dude. I get it. That's not the point, though. Alex Pereira, his style, for me, so we just had one of the best examples of all time of fundamentals beating the flashiness, fundamentals beating the unorthodox, fundamentals beating whatever you want to call it that they do, okay? Israel Adesanya does not have an identical style to Jiri Prochazka, but hands down, lots of movement, lots of switching stances, lots of fucking all this shit, lots of different setups and all this blah, 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 blah. We just watched a dude with a fucking modified Philly shell, a good 1-2, and a good teep kick, school Israel Adesanya. School him, okay? Completely. Now, obviously there's some differences between Jiri Prochazka and Israel Adesanya. I would say, actually I know, Israel Adesanya is better defensively than Jiri Prochazka. Okay, that's one. Two, Jiri Prochazka his stance is very wide. I know he switches stances, but he's very wide. So no matter which stance he is in, he's very heavy on his legs. Alex Pereira is going to chop them down immediately. That's going to be the first target of Alex Pereira's. I would imagine he throws his first calf kick in the first couple seconds of this fight. Like, as soon as the bell rings, as soon as they're within range, he's chopping that leg. Jiri Prochazka's, it's not something that he's had to deal with before. Dude, when you have a guy in Israel Adesanya who's like main staple, his like bread and butter of his game is leg kicks, and then you've got a guy that out leg kicks him, is able to check all of his leg kicks. There's only been 2 dudes in the UFC that have done that thus far, which is Alex Pereira and Jan Blachowicz. You know you've got a guy that can leg kick like a motherfucker, and he's going to be chopping those legs immediately. When you're heavy on the lead leg, it's not as easy to check. This guy's like, man, I get it. He's fun to watch, and his style's cool and all this shit. People like to act as though he doesn't need to have his hands up because he's so defensively responsible, and I call bullshit. Okay? I get it. Look, I'm not shitting on a style where your hands aren't up here. If you're in a gym, a coach will let you kind of get away from the fundamentals if you've proven that your fundamentals are sound. To me, Jiri Prochazka's fundamentals don't look all that sound, especially defensively. He doesn't really use his hands to block. It's all movement. And then people will say, well, he doesn't need to. He has some of the best reaction time of all time. He gets out of the way of everything. He's so explosive. His dodges are so explosive. I've literally had people tell me this in my comment sections. The dude lands 5.7 strikes per minute. No, hold up. Yeah, 5.7 strikes per minute. He absorbs 5.4. He is a literal take one to give one guy. This guy is not getting out of the way of everything thrown his way. He's literally not. He's getting hit as often as he's hitting, okay? Not just that. His striking defense is 40%, meaning he gets hit most of the time. 60% of the time his opponents land on him. This guy's defense is not that good. It just isn't, man. And I get that he moves around and it's cool to see and it's fucking fun to watch and all this shit. It's not as effective as everybody likes to make it out to be. And he hasn't fought a guy who is as technically sound in all of the fundamentals of striking as Alex Pereira. He just hasn't. Volkan Ozdemir's not. Dominic Reyes sure as shit isn't. And Glover Teixeira is also not even close to the level of striker as an Alex Pereira. Not defensively, not offensively. It just is what it is, man. It is what it is. He keeps his hands right down low, right by his waist, which can be fun, like for his offense can be good because it can create angles and things that guys might not see coming. But the problem I have with Jiri Prochazka also is he does all these big entries, like I touched on with the Glover Teixeira fight. There's so many opportunities for him to get countered. You cannot be a take one to give one guy against Alex Pereira. You just fucking can't, dude. I don't like... Either way, man. It don't matter. We'll see the fight. And if I'm wrong, I'm wrong. But I think Alex Pereira is going to be able to get it done. I think he's going to chop away at the legs immediately. I think that on a big Jiri Prochazka entry, he'll tag him with counter shots, with his left hook, with his right hand, with all the shit. He could probably knee him. He could throw up some head kicks because Jiri Prochazka likes to dip and dive and get down low and all this shit, dude. So the only path to victory I see for Jiri Prochazka is if he decides to grapple, which I know that he can, but he doesn't really like to use it a whole lot. He likes to strike. So I have a feeling he's going to want to get this done on the feet. Now, if he gets rocked and finds himself in trouble, he might try and shoot a takedown. But yeah, man, I think Alex Pereira gets it done. I just do. I think he's going to chop away at the legs. As I said, I think he's going to find his jab. I think that Jiri Prochazka, on all of his big entries, is going to start getting tagged and realize, oh, fuck, this guy hits harder than Glover Teixeira. This guy hits harder than Dominic Reyes, who rocked my shit. This guy hits harder. Like, do you know what I mean? So, either way, dude. Very happy that they made this fight. I can't fucking wait to see it. I do think that Alex Pereira is going to get the job done. But credit to both of these guys for accepting this fight and getting it done, getting it pushed in before the end of the year. I like that a lot. I didn't want to be waiting until January, February to find out who was going to be the title holder. So, credit to both of them. Credit to Pereira for his activity. And let's fucking go, dude. I can't wait for this fight. Like and subscribe. I would greatly appreciate it. I'll see you at the next video. Bye-bye.